Good morning, and thank you for taking a few minutes to be here with me. My name is Jay Forrest Young. I'm a mediator, educator, and author, and for more than 30 years, I've worked with people at moments when their lives were under increased strain: divorce, workplace conflict, business disputes, and family breakdowns. Basically, when they have been at their worst. In mediation, we often say that people come to the table with positions and interests. What we less frequently acknowledge, yet encounter constantly, is that they also bring their identity. Conflict is rarely just about money, parenting schedules, contracts, or timelines. More often, it is about who someone believes they are and who they fear they may become, and what they need in order to feel whole and coherent again. My work in personality and the dynamics of conflict resolution grows out of more than 3 decades of mediation practice, teaching psychology, and studying human temperament. It integrates classical temperament theory, Jungian psychology, modern identity theory, and practical mediation skills into a framework that's helped mediators understand why people behave the way that they do and when they are under stress, and how we can respond more skillfully. At its core, this work rests on a simple but powerful idea. People in conflict are attempting to protect their sense of self. The idea that humans exhibit recognizable temperament patterns is not new. As early as Hippocrates, 400 BC, about, observers noticed that while people are unique, they also share consistent patterns of energy, emotion, and behavior. Although early explanations relied on bodily humors, the enduring insight was this: temperament is stable, inborn, and deeply influential. Centuries later, Carl Jung reframed these observations psychologically. Jung proposed that human beings differ in how they take in information, make decisions, and direct their psychic energy through introversion or extroversion, and through preferences for thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition. These ideas later gave rise to Myers-Briggs type indicator and subsequently to Dr. David Keirsey's temperament groupings. Keirsey's key distinction is foundational to my work. Temperament is predisposition, and character is habit. Temperament is what we are born with. Character is what emerges as temperament interacts with environment, culture, and experience. In mediation, temperament doesn't explain everything, but it explains enough to be enormously useful. For practical purposes, I work with 4 core temperament patterns that I've represented by color. Gold temperaments value structure, predictability, and responsibility. In conflict, they are distressed by chaos and broken commitments. They respond best to clear agendas and concrete agreements. Red temperaments are decisive and action-oriented. They want progress and results. While they can appear impatient, they often provide momentum that moves stalled negotiations forward. Blue temperaments experience conflict relationally. Trust, connection, and emotional safety matter deeply to them. They help ensure that agreements are sustainable and not merely efficient. Green temperaments are analytical and systems oriented. They seek understanding and long range implications. They depersonalize conflict, but may disengage if rushed. No temperament is better than another. Each represents a different adaptive strategy, and each brings something essential into the mediation room. And basically, as human beings, we have what all 4 of these color icons represent. Temperament helps explain how people react. Identity helps explain why conflict seems so destabilizing. Psychologist Prescott Leckey described human beings as striving for consistency, an internally coherent sense of self. When that coherence is threatened, resistance increases. This resistance is not stubbornness, it is a natural attempt to preserve psychological stability. From this perspective, conflict is not merely disagreement, it is a perceived threat to identity integrity. Building on this idea, the concept of possible selves, originally presented by Hazel Marcus and Paul Anurius, helps explain motivation and conflict. Each person carries internal images of who they hope to become and who they fear of becoming. In mediation, feared selves often drive behavior more powerfully than stated demands. A parent may fear becoming the absent parent. A professional may fear becoming irrelevant or powerless. Effective mediation helps people move forward from feared selves towards constructive possible selves. From this perspective, conflict is not merely disagreement, it is perceived as a threat to our identity integrity. This helps explain why people cling to positions that seem irrational at times. Emotional reactions feel disproportionate. Change is resisted even when it appears beneficial. People are not defending an argument, they are defending who they believe they are. This work aligns squarely with the Florida rules for certified and court-appointed mediators. Understanding personality and identity does not mean diagnosing, counseling, or treating. It means reducing obstacles to communication, translating between emotional and logical needs, enhancing neutrality through self-awareness. Supporting party self-determination, mediators do not fix people. We create conditions in which people can fix problems. We assist as mediators in the process of communication between the parties. In closing, I would remind us that Charles Darwin never said that the strongest are the ones who survive. What he actually said is that those most adaptable to a changing environment are the ones that do. In mediation, resolution often occurs not when someone wins, but when someone becomes less attached to a rigid self-definition and more open to who they might become next. When approached skillfully, conflict becomes a liminal space, a threshold where identity can reorganize and suffering can diminish. That is the deeper work of mediation, and that is the work I am committed to advancing. Thank you so much for your time.